This meeting is being recorded.
Well, folks, good afternoon, good evening, good morning from wherever you are joining us. I'm Sandy Yannone, your host of Cultivating Voices Live Poetry. And today, our poet's focus is on the theme of hunger. As you know, those of you who have been with us, joining us for readings in the past, our first Sunday of every month takes a word as our kaleidoscope to look through. And the poems you'll hear today will be the focus on the word hunger. Many, many, many ways to connect, appreciate, amplify social justice elements, personal connections with kind of longing, and just so many ways to look at this word hunger. We have a full roster of astounding poets ready to share with us on that poet's focus on the word hunger. And I am eager to get started. And before we do, I would just like to encourage those of you in the room and listening through our Facebook feed, our live feeds, and those of you who may be, who will be, and who are right at this moment, whatever that future moment in time is, watching our recording of this. I'd love to encourage, if you have the resources, to make a donation to a local, regional, national, or international organization of your choosing that focuses on feeding the world's population. Whether that is, as I said, that's in your local community, all the way to your international communities. Here we have many, here in Olympia, Washington, where I am, we have a local food bank, and I'll be making a donation in the name of Cultivating Voices Live Poetry for this occasion. But as I said, I want to encourage those of you who can to take some time this month, and not only this month, if possible, because always around the holidays is when a lot of the organizations get an influx of resources, but year round is very important as well. So I want to also mention an incredible group, Poets Against Hunger. It was founded by Hiram LaRue, and I'm going to put the chat in the chat. Many of you know Hiram, and I want to put in the chat for that organization. If you would like to get involved, there it is for you. I'll be posting something also onto Facebook to let you know about that group's connection to supporting the eradication of really not just national in the United States, but international hunger and poverty. So thank you everyone for being here today. As I mentioned, the word hunger has so many prismatic meanings. I've mentioned the connection to one through a social justice lens, not to not to suggest that that is exclusively what the reading is today, but I did want to take some time to elevate the issues around hunger and poverty for this group, who I know is very socially conscious and generous, very generous. Well, let us move to the open mic now for today on that theme of the word hunger. Folks will be reading, our first 12 folks will be reading up to 5 minutes, and then we'll get to that. We'll get to the waiting list. Up first for today is Vincent Calone, and then
Vincent Calone.
Vincent Calone.
You got it.
I did indeed. Thank you so much. And folks, if you wouldn't mind, make sure that you have your, if you're not reading, make sure that you have your mics muted so that we can hear Vincent and the others who are reading clearly and beautifully. As well as just a reminder that we have up to 5 minutes and we are gathering a wait list. So it'll be first Vincent Calone and then Josephine LoRe. And if you wouldn't mind sharing where you're joining from today. I'm finding it great to have folks know who's in the room and where they're from. Welcome, Vincent. So
Thank you.
To have your voice starting us off today.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to read with you all today. This is a great cause. A couple familiar faces. I'm from Long Island, New York. J.R. Turk, the Purple Poet, is my mentor, even though she won't admit it. TA, good friend. A couple other familiar faces on the call. Ron, Bauke. I really appreciate this. This is called, I'm just going to read one poem in the interest of time, and I'm going to take my time reading it. It's called A Town with No Name. It was written based off of a prompt. I write a daily poem every day on Raven Wire poetry prompts on Facebook, and this was based off of a prompt called write a poem about a town that didn't exist. So I took that quite literally, and I called it A Town with No Name. I was born in a town that didn't exist. Simple folk worked and lived in our midst. It had no location and no postal code. No names were given to each street and road. It was on no map or any travel app. At once an oasis, but now just a trap. Flowers and pies on windowsills cooled until we realized we just couldn't pay the bills. Whole neighborhoods vanished as if overnight. The streets became dirty and hard on the sight. Windows once sparkling were now all broken, a glow in the distance of home fires smoking. The crops all dried up with no one to water, the livestock released and the few left slaughtered. Charters ripped up, infrastructure fell. Sad, my nameless home soon turned to hell. And in the end, I was left with all the dribs and drabs. I had plenty of time to sort the goods from the bads. I perused and perambulated the empty town square. The grand clock had stopped, but nobody cared. The last of us there just tended to ourselves. We secured the little food that was left on the shelves. We headed underground to wait out the storm. We tried to keep dry and we tried to keep warm, but something inside of us all just died as we waited for the fear to finally subside. We barred our doors and shuttered our blinds, and as much as we looked, we all missed the signs. And soon the town with no name vanished again. It fell like the others to the denizens of sin, and no one ever spoke again of that town with no name, but the silence which lingered only amplified the pain. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's Vincent Calone.
Sorry, a little sketchy, a little choppy. I'm sorry. Sorry to start off that way.
All good. It's all good here. It's so great to have you, and thank you for starting us off today on our Poets Focus with that telescopic view on the word hunger. We next, a voice very familiar with, so glad to see you, my dear friend, Josephine LoRe, and Josephine will be followed by Ken Burch. Folks, as you know, when I'm here doing the open mic, I try to keep my comments to a minimum to keep the space open for the readings. But I also just want to remind you, please use the chat generously and appropriately to show your love and appreciation for the poetry that you're hearing. And also, please do feel free to put in the chat upcoming events, announcements about your readings, and if publications that are coming up for you to share with each other. We love to have you use our platform as a platform for advancing your work as well. So welcome, Josephine. I'm glad to see you.
It's great to see you. Yes, 2 days in a row. It's great to see you, and it's great to see so many familiar faces. I'm coming in from Calgary, which is just north of Montana, and it's the traditional and ancestral homes of a number of Indigenous peoples who I would like to acknowledge and thank: Pakani, Siksika, Kainai, Nakota, and Tsuut'ina. And I've got 2 pieces to share. The first piece I'd actually like to share screen. Sandy mentioned Poetry X Hunger, and T.A. Niles is involved in that as well. And so I met Hiram through one of the online Zooms that I was in, and he asked me to submit. I think I might have shared this poem on Cultivating Voices in the past, but here it is again. This is the website for Poetry X Hunger, and my poem is called Enough, and it was published 2021. Would words be enough? I would sate your hunger. I would build for you a well, ever filled with water clean. I would work alongside as you till the field, watch hope emerge green from brown earth. Would words be enough? I would end your misery, watch each child of yours grow strong and true, teach you to read and to write and to sing, so that your voice be forgotten nevermore. Would words be enough? I would help you bear your burden, bring healing to your wounds and strife. See beyond the lines on a map, beyond color, and you would know you are my sister, my brother, if words were enough. And if you're interested, there's a little clicky thing. You could hear it again, and there's a little bio there. And the next piece I'd like to share is not so much about physical hunger as it is really about an emotional or spiritual kind of hunger, because I lost my father this summer. And there are some Italian words in it, and it's a letter to my father. And trigger warnings if you have experienced grief, with my condolences. Carissimo Papa, that means my dearest father. It has been almost 3 months, and I want you to know that I think I now know why you said goodbye to me, eyes closed, that final time. That I didn't really understand why you told me to give your best to my brothers and my sisters, for you know I have only sisters, but at the funeral, cousins, uncles, aunts, your godchildren embraced my grief, and we are all brothers, all sisters, all. Dear Dad, Papiozzo, in those last photographs you waved and I thought you were saying hello, but when I look at them now, I see that you were saying goodbye. Caro Papa, I know you knew I flew back when I got the call you had fallen. I held your hand and kissed your brow, and you wiggled your leg. You wiggled your leg when you heard Mom's voice, my sister's voices too, and I know that you knew. Dear Dad, you should know that the cardiologist who stood timid in the doorway waiting to unplug the defibrillator had a catch in her voice and hugged us one by one. Caro Papa, I want you to know that I felt your spirit fill my chest. centered not over my actual heart, but that spot where your pacemaker kept pace. And I knew it was you, Daddy, and when I see a blue jay in the sky, I know that you are well in that other place, that better place, that place beyond pain. Daddy, please know that I'm taking care of Mom best I can. And she didn't want me to see her cry, but I overhear her talking to you sometimes softly. All the bitterness spilled from her and only tenderness left. And she does not always wear black, although I haven't gotten her into red quite yet. But when she wears your fleece, the one that I flew back from Toronto with us, she feels closer to you. And she was happy to find a drywall screw in one of the pockets, and it's on the dresser now, next to the photo of your 61st anniversary. Caro Papa, I want you to know that I still need your wisdom, and I need you to guide me when I get stuck on the hard bits. I haven't finished, Papa. Dear Dad, I want you to know that my kids all flew back, and I don't know if you could feel this, but they shouldered your pall. Not just walking alongside the casket while it was being wheeled, but they carried the weight of you from limo to the red carpet of the nave. They wore white gloves, Daddy, and they were very brave. Daddy, dear Daddy, how Connor's bride cried, and the kids held each other up and held Nana up too. And when I broke down by your side, when I knew I could never make you warm again, never more see you smile, they came and held me up too, Daddy, and I knew. Beloved Father, Caro Papa, I knew that the best parts of you, the very best, live on in them as they live in me too. Con amore infinito, la tua penetra. Thank you for listening.
I'm quite moved, of course. You know, along with love, we often think of there can be a hunger to love, right? But I think that grief has an equally very deep, palpable hunger to it. And it is also a thing that connects us all as well as we go through those cycles. And I'm very grateful for you bringing that aspect to the table today, to our shared table. Thank you so much, Josephine. I'm trying to stay grounded so I can continue to go on tonight. Oh, our next poet. Our next poet for our reading today. Again, so glad all of you have come out for this Poet's Focus on the theme, on the word, the examination, the investigation, the interrogation, the view on the word hunger. Our next poet is Ken Burch, followed by T.A. Niles.
Hi, hello everyone. This uncertain day, and I guess I'm not really writing about hunger in the sense of physical hunger, but maybe on one level hunger for understanding and hope. This is just about this is the poem just about where we might be in things and trying to understand the division that happens and the implications of it. I wish I could say just what may come next to us after what may happen in the room in terms of the counting of the marks of the choices of the millions of two minds of the times which may come if the will to seek that which might keep away the night of the creeping men of rage based on nothing done to them who've not been wronged by those who their fierce will to seek out for retribution none deserve nor none the cause of any of the deeply felt need to wound to dull pain caused by those they do not seek to wound, but instead give alms to their wounders. And as many minds of the others also wounded, yet not seeking harm to the ragers of whom they ask nothing but simply just this. This is our world as it is yours to have, as it is ours to also have. Have you ever asked of the face seen in the glass each day on day, what's the point? Point to what is gained in the hate, the hate you carry within, carry without respite, without end of each day after seething, year and year, till bitter corrosive death. Death is all that awaits you for all the endless pain you bring you. You honestly think this is worth all the wounds you give us all, and including you too? Too much you lose to no gain for even go. You could let go and find life. Okay, that's the poem. And this is the song that I made for a songwriter's group that I'm in Portland. And it's sort of trying to say, I'm figuring I'm in a group if things get really bad, I'll face a lot of danger, but I knew it. And I'm just trying to say in this that I'm with them. So it's just called No Matter What. If the worst should come, I'll be with you, no matter what. No matter what. If what we fear comes into view, no matter what. No matter what. I've had my chances, the times I know, no matter what, no matter what, against what may be next, you're not alone, no matter what, no matter what. If in the night they come for you, no matter what, no matter what. If they take you, they'll take me too, no matter what, no matter what. And if you escape and make your stand, no matter what, no matter what. Your struggles mine, for the people and the land, no matter what, no matter what, no matter what, no matter what, we'll carry on, no matter what. No one can say what happens now, no matter what, no matter what. We must continue for the days that come will allow, no matter what, no matter what, We must continue to believe, no matter what, no matter what, that nothing ends. So fight, don't breathe, no matter what, no matter what. And each day still brings returning light, no matter what, no matter what. There is no truth, endless night, no matter what, no matter what. Terror's real, it feels these days, no matter what, no matter what. But we go forth, we remain ablaze, no matter what, no matter what, no matter what, no matter what. We'll carry on, no matter what. Thank you. Oh, vote.
Wow. Please do look at the comments on the chat, Ken. I wish you could take that song to the airwaves on many, many, many places. What a poem about a hunger for understanding. That's what it felt so appropriate given for here in the States, the elections coming up and everything that's continued through the pandemic. It's making me also think about past, that when we were here in 2020 and what we were also grappling with and facing then. What an astounding contribution to the reading today. Thank you so much. That's Ken Burch joining us from Olympia, Washington. Folks, when you join, if you care to share where you're joining us from, please do announce that. And I'm going to move us along, but such gratitude for your contribution today. Folks, we are here today on Cultivating Voices Live Poetry. Poets focus on hunger. And we are featuring 12 poets, 5 minutes apiece, and then we're going to move on over to our wait list for folks to get in some bonus poetry on this kaleidoscopic view of how we can intersect and connect and share our thoughts and musings and deep consciousness around this theme of hunger. Well, next we will hear from T.A. Niles, followed by Cathal Mac Threinfhir. T.A., thanks for being here today. And if you'd care, like as Josephine did, to say anything more about Poetry X Hunger, feel free to.
Thank you so much for the invitation, for reminding me, letting me know that this was going to be a hunger theme, because I'm farm sitting and I had no intentions of coming today, but I have to come when we are beating the drums for this cause. So I had to take time off from the chores. Anyway, I am grateful to be here. Thank you to all the poets who've already shared and the ones who will share. Josephine, we relate because we have some similarities with our moms, and I feel for you because I know it's no easy path. Thank you, Judy. Let me stop and get to the business here because I could go on. I'm going to do a video today because I don't think that I could do the piece justice simply by reading. I might be a little too shy to be the kid that I am in this. It's a persona piece. And the video was created for Power Through Poetry, Voices to End Hunger, and it was a collaboration between Poetry X Hunger and the New School out of New York City. It was their food studies program, and a number of poets participated in that, and I created this piece for that. So I will go ahead and hopefully be able to share screen here. And before I finish, before I start the video, I just want to say that I am pretty devoted to the efforts of Poetry X Hunger because it's just a cause that I know many people across the world need help with. And on December 3rd, Poetry X Hunger will be teaming up with the Poetry Project this time. And several poets, I believe there were 12 poems were selected from Poetry X Hunger by visual artists, and they created original works which will be auctioned starting December 3rd. That will be a Zoom auction opening, and you can, I've put it in the chat and I will again, go to Poetry X Hunger or the Poetry Project for more information. Okay, let's get this video started. Hopefully it works. Please let me know if you can hear it. My little sister used to be afraid of the dark. At least, that's what my mom said when she cried at night. Maybe 'cause in the dark, there's no sight, no bright things, except car lights, mostly police car lights that make you dizzy. I can't really figure it out. It's just not that easy for me. I don't know, but I think she was crying because our school lunch is at 11:30. And by the time the dark swallowed us up, like that whale in the Bible they taught us about, her belly probably felt like mine used to feel. Like the inside of a can filled with nails and razor blades. I'm not dumb. I know cans can't feel, but my belly can. And that's what it felt like to me. Maybe to her, too. I used to wish I was a whale, like the one in the Bible. It didn't used to be, but now, black is my favorite color. I don't mean like to draw with crayons or something like that, but people don't see you so good in the dark, in black. I think I like it because of the bags, too. My little sister doesn't cry so much at night anymore. Black might be her favorite color, too. And plastic. Plastic is my favorite thing to touch. The soft plastic. You know, the kind they make bags out of. I know people think plastic is bad, like it kills fish and birds in the sea, but plastic is like life to me, even though sometimes to me life doesn't mean as much as a dead fish or a bloody bird. To me, plastic means the emptiness in my head, like the emptiness in my belly, can stop soon. It can drown dreams, the ones people call nightmares, where I'm chewing air on my tongue when the tummy ache wakes me up. It means the pain in my belly can go away for a little while. I don't know. I don't know if I want to live, could live without plastic. Oh, I have to stop now. The fast food place is probably closed already, and the trash is out back in the dark, in black plastic bags. Thank you so much for your indulgence, folks. I appreciate that. And if you can, if you're available, December 3rd, another incredible fundraising effort. We did one in August that raised some funds, again, for a variety of anti-hunger organizations, and people can't eat words. And so we've done a lot with poetry to bring awareness, but we would also love to feed people as well. Thanks again for listening.
Thank you so much. That's T.A. Niles, and sharing with you all, and please do check out in the chat the announcement of the upcoming event on December 3rd, as well as, and I'm going to put this in the chat as well, just a reminder to please do spend some time on the Poetry X Hunger website, where you can read and connect with astounding poetry, like the poem you heard from Josephine, TA, and so many others. And again, a reminder that if you can, please do contribute to feed the hungry in your local communities. Support efforts to do so regionally, nationally, as well as international organizations. And I'll be putting some resources onto the Cultivating Voices webpage on our Facebook page later today for other poetry and hunger collaborations as well. Thank you again, TA. What a reading today already. And we're just getting started, friends. We're just getting started. Very grateful for everyone being here today. And we go next with my gratitude to Cathal Mac Threinhfir, and then followed by Glenda Cimino.
Well, hello, Sandy. Can you hear me okay?
Can hear you perfectly fine. You sound as
I'll keep the video.
fabulous as you are.
Lovely. I'll keep the video off so we get keep the audio crisp. Hello, everybody. Thank you for your contribution so far. As always, a lovely evening, but a dark subject, of course. Hunger is a special racial wound in Ireland, always has been since the 1850s, and it's very much present in our lives, in the countryside, in the famine roads, and the old workhouses. So it's something that does strike to the heart of any Irish person, the idea of hunger. Two short poems for you. First one's called Hunger. Hunger stretched out, taut in tension, that the rage is on, a rack of hurt. We're breathing in full breaths and gulps of scalding fire that scythes and waves. It's withering on tightened skin and coiling flame of gnawing need that hangs upon the thickened tongue where words sounded to drowning die. The length of days and lingering hours, that sickly slow, seep tortured time in measured beats of gulping gasps, of clawing air on cracking lips. Despair and black as morning clad, rouses upon her dreadful watch, embracing in her drowsy deep, hunger crowned in the thorns of pain. And that's in memory of everybody who's been lost to hunger, unknown. Second one is another short one. It's called Across the World. There are eyes that look out through the lemon haze of a desert sun and suffer their thirst and hunger in silence. There are eyes that look up through the leaden haze of a city sun and suffer their thirst and hunger in silence. The hunger pangs are the same, the choking thirst is the same. What of us as we move unthinkingly through our working day? The half-eaten lunch left at a restaurant by us, the half-empty glass of water left on a table by us, the sandwich thrown away by us. In a silence that screams its hurt across the world, we know that many wake each morning to the emptiness of craving for food and water. Life is on a razor's edge. All human dignity is gone. All life choices and opportunities are gone. All access to happiness and health is gone. In that silence, listen, not hear. See, not look. Do not turn away, for there is salvation and power to be found there when we reach out an open hand. We can change this reality. After all, we all live together under the shelter of each other across the world. Sinead, that's it. Back to you, Sandy. Thanks for a great reading so far.
We all live together in the shelter of the world.
It's actually an old channel in Irish I've adapted. It's an old Irish phrase that says we all live under each other's shadows or each other's shelter. And we do.
Thank you for bringing that to our consciousness today. You know, I'm reminded in your reading of the very famous poem by Evan Boland, Quarantine.
Yes, yes, very much.
Of course, written about that couple during.
Oh, very much so. Very powerful. Very powerful. And that was a true story. That was a true story.
It's a true story. And she's talked about it when she's read it. When I've now watched clips of her reading it many times, you know, she talks about the history of the famine and the connection of that poetry to it, of that couple, and her reading about that incident, and created one of the most important poems, I think, of the 20th and the 20th century.
Absolutely. There's an old saying that says, Tory member Phil Kriegich and others, I give my life's heart's blood to you. And very much in that story of that young couple, that's what the young man did, you know. Last act. Yeah.
Well, thank you again for your contributions. That, you know, what I love about poetry is that poetry is the gift that keeps giving, and that from one poem, hearing one extraordinary poem, or two, as we just heard from Cathal, the beauty of it is that it sparks us thinking about other poems that we're reminded of, so that there is this multiplication of our consciousness. It's the opportunity to bring more and more thinking into our being. And I love when a poem reminds me to think of that other poem that I haven't thought of for a short time, and to bring it back for me. It's a true beautiful gift. Well, let us move along to more gifts of poetry today from our fabulous readers that have gathered here in this room, in this humble Zoom room, to share poetry on the examination of the word hunger and all of its permutations and interpretations. And next we will hear from Glenda Cimino, followed by Giulio Magrini. Hi, Glenda. Thank you for being.
Thank you. I'm from Atlanta. I'm in exile for 50 years in Dublin, Ireland, which is a pretty good place to be in exile. But there's a big homeless problem here. There's a big hunger problem all over the world now. And there's absolutely no need for it to be, except selfishness and greed. So I'm going to read a poem about a child I saw living in the street in Cali in 1967. I hope that child lived. But child of Cali, Colombia. Smooth and unmarked is the child's thin face, but his eyes reflect an old man's blunted sight. Already they have known the bitter rind of hollow days. They ask, but do not hope, and so belie the small expectant hand held out open to the sidewalk stranger, whose eyes are sternly focused far ahead. At night, when darker streets grow strangely still and busy strangers are asleep in bed, the man's eyes close in the tired young face, and it is the child who sleeps alone, a hungry sleep in the huddled doorway. And I'd like to read another if I have time. This one is called In the Century, and I wrote it about the 20th century, but I'm sad to say that 21st century has been shockingly worse so far. In this century, some die of starvation while others take tablets for overeating. In this century, people die because the hospital is too far away, while others fly in jet planes overhead. In this century, food is stockpiled in mountains while thin hands scrabble over a single grain. In this century, some people will never have a pair of shoes, while others collect fashion-designed wardrobes. In this century, some people will never learn to read and write, while others compile volumes of papers about them. In this century, money is spent for poison gas and nuclear bombs, while there is none for houses and schools. In this century, some people collect art and antiques as investment, while others decorate a bare wall with a label from a tin can. In this century, people go blind from lack of a simple injection, while others have plastic surgery to restore their looks. In this century, some people are removed from their island homes so others can blow them up with nuclear bombs. In this century, refugees from harsh regimes and wars drown or starve because countries will not make room for them. In this century, people are given radios in exchange for castration. Pregnant women do not escape torture and murder. In this century, everything has a price. Greed is praised as success, and the measure of man is what he can possess. In this deadly century, in this dying century, the greatest pathology is that so many people seem to think all of this is normal. That's that poem. Can I read one more? Or is that all time up? I can't hear you. You're muted.
Sorry, I think we're probably at time.
Okay, we'll leave
Sorry,
it at that.
I usually I'm very generous, but
That's
I'm really wanting, I have to, yeah, thank you for,
Thank
and
you.
thank you for those poems today. Come back and read the third poem. We are left wanting more.
Thank you. That's a
Thank
good way
you.
to leave.
Indeed. Well, next we will hear from Giulio Magrini, followed by Harvey Soss. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sandy. Coming to you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Naturally, we need to substantively support hunger relief locally and throughout the world. Now, this is a different kind of hunger, inspired by the song Narrow Daylight, written by Diana Krall and Elvis Costello. It's called Losing the Narrow Daylight. Study the fissures, examine the breakage, pour through the rubble of the residuals of your impersonated heart. Was the waste worth the terror of resulting carnage, the deterioration of struggling growth to defeat and spoil grace? Diana Krall's whispered gasp slithers into the microphone. Anything is possible. Hanging on her husky, sweetened sorrow, presented and shared to lift us from narrow daylight to a broadened view of understanding. The awkward deprivation of knowledge, a velvety cradle of affliction. Understanding solves the puzzle, a vague, satisfying product of passion. We continue to reach for a symmetry and conclusion, appealing to the parts of this bewildered whole. The lane you chose is choking you, gasping and exhausted. Your life plays the wrong notes, producing the right answers for the incorrect harmonies inside your head. The sorrow of losing the narrow daylight, choosing discordant tracks, constricting your choices that limit you forever.
Wow, love that poem. No,
Thank you.
different kind of hunger, but a hunger nevertheless. This is
Yes.
what I love about these prismatic looks through the lens of the word. Thank you so much, Giulio Magrini. Another great poem from you, of course. Of course. Well, next we hear from Harvey Soss, followed by, of course, another beautiful reader in the, I'm getting to my, Phyllis Klein, of course, there we go. I was just like, where's my list? Where's my list? Hi, Harvey, thanks for being with
Hi.
us.
Can you hear me?
You sound perfect.
Okay, fine. I have two poems for you today in an invitation, which I posted in the chat to Artful Dodger's Poetry on the 19th of this month. The first one I wrote this morning, the other some time ago, different types of hunger, love, power. First one is called Symbiote. All this searching and longing for a partner, Diogenes hunting for one honest soul, has left it tired and hungry for love. Even the grisliest of grizzly bears can at least look forward to hibernation and some downtime, not this unearthly offspring of coagulated space dust, fated to keep its sex organs locked and loaded, its flagella motile, on the off chance that it might blissfully run into what romantics might refer to as its better half, the likes of which must exist somewhere, whether near or far. In the eons since being tumbled off the nameless meteor on which it hitched the ride, the self-same space ball that put paid to the dinosaurs, it has wandered alone, in honest organism, seeking orgasm, some reproductive action, cursed as I am to be one of a kind. Second one is called Mother Rat. Simply put, we'll all cast our votes for her as Mother of the Year, given how many she's pumped out for our rat-a-tat-tat rat uprising, card-carrying members and sympathizers, with already more fellow travelers than there are ectoplasmic plastic bags in the sea. Plus, Mouseketeer supernumeraries, each and every one a devotee of her revolutionary manifesto on manners and decorum, a neatness we rodentia are not usually known for. You think she wants her children traipsing through the sewers at night, coming back to a clean nest with their feet muddy, hair and rats' tails, her litter sneaking off of fast food scraps on subway platforms, along with those last licks of ice cream sandwich wrappers, without eating their vegetables first? Not our mother rat, to whom cleanliness is next to Lebensraum, huffing up close to the size of one of those striking unionist rat balloons, a self-portrait of our mom, damning scabs two-legged and four-legged alike. How do you expect to outlast humanity, she would chide, without a proper diet, a constitution and plan, having chewed through a book on the American Revolution? Her political astuteness, once having digested it, the super glue that holds us together, exhorting rats, black and brown, to rise up on their hind legs. What do we want? Freedom. When do we want it? Now. Imploring old whites destined for lab use to throw off the chains that bind. Some nights she climbs up onto a soapbox to sermonize to one and all, tail wagging metronomically. The bigger the biped, the greater the fall. She has spies everywhere, a secretive mischief of quadrupeds ready and willing to do her bidding, to bite anything that stands in her way, agents consciousless as GRU, less likely to screw up than CIA. Supported also by a few daring rats have rights to activists against the status quo, awaiting as we do, mother rat's signal, the anarchical shot of our Sarajevo. Thank you.
Oh,
So next time you see a rat, be nice.
oh my gosh. I marvel at your mind. I really do. Like where you take poems to, like, oh, it's incredible, incredible. Be sure to check out the chat. That's Harvey Soss, everyone. Do indeed check out, join, participate in the Artful Dodger reading series. Information in the chat. And next we move to Phyllis Klein, followed by Billy Brown.
Hi, thank you so much. Can you hear me okay?
You sound great.
Okay, great. So thanks everybody. This has been fantastic. The first poem that I want to read was also in Poets Ex Hunger. And so it's called Famine. The grocery store gave us 7 bananas we didn't ask for in our curbside pickup bag. Our next door neighbor said he'd take 3 off our hands for his trip tomorrow to Utah. His wife with dementia gone just a week. The other 3 are going to our neighbor on the other side, who gave up sugar but not fruit, so God would let her daughter keep the newly adopted baby during the trial period. And we're keeping 1 banana. The New York Times asks if we have been hungry, and the answer is no. But I wish I could find more bananas for all the hungry people, children and their parents. Then I would be doing more than writing about it, about how this pandemic is starving some of us. I would figure out a way to feed the people who are ravenous, give them food trucks, restaurants, unlimited curbside pickups, because it's not okay to be famished, to be craving security when there isn't so much, people dying as usual and more than usual. At least the baby is going to stay where she is. At least one less tragedy to face. And then, thank you. And then I love the warm reception. Thank you so much. This one is also during the pandemic. Cultivation. The yellow lacy edged squash, green beans, sweet peas, broccolini. Arugula, baby red leaf lettuce, all organic. Each of these in my vegetable box, in my frying pan, on the table. Fruits of the dirt picked from their plants, children weaned from mothers' wombs. The fields at midnight when laborers arrive, knives, gloves, baseball caps, half asleep from the journey to cross the border or follow the harvest as the bushes prepare their offspring in ripening. Everything so fragile, so transient, the fields almost ready to be stripped again. Plowed, plowed into submission, another growing season. The workers bent at the back to meet their livelihood, to feed the people. And now, not only the jeopardy of deportation, also the infected air, the hidden danger in their fellow workers' breath, and the heat as if the food was meant to cook right on its vine. The ease of spoilage. Does the harvester begin to hate the beautiful, the perfect progeny, the sensuous cabbage, the proud okra? Could he never bear to eat again another translucent lettuce leaf, another holy stalk of kale? The grind of muscle stretched over vertebrae for a wage low enough to keep him worried, exhausted. The boxes brought to my door, perfectly packed, no toxic smoke, no taste of regret or disappointment on their sturdy vegetable bodies, rejoicing in the glow of existence, newly delivered. Let no one be hungry. Let me bow to the backs that bent at the hip to reach the carrots, the hands that held the knives to cut broccoli, the hearts that persevered next to the beat of the harvester machines, the rhythms of feeding. Thank you.
That's Glenda Cimino. Thank you. What a contribution today to our Poets Focus on hunger. You know, that echo of that line, let no one be hungry, is going to ring through my mind. Just continue to ring through my mind. Thank you so much. Well, next we have Billy Brown, followed by Jennifer Elise Wang. Welcome, Billy.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
You sound fine. You sound great.
All right. Coming from Albuquerque, New Mexico. When I first heard that, this was several weeks ago, that this event would focus on the word hunger, a song came immediately to mind, and I've altered a few of the words. It's called Unchained Melody by Elvis Presley. Oh, my dad, my darling mother, I've hungered for your touch a long, lonely time. Time goes by so slowly, and time can do so much. Are you still mine? I need your love. I need your love. Please speed your love to me. Lonely rivers flow to the sea, to the sea, to the open arms of the sea. Lonely rivers cry, wait for me, wait for me. I'll be coming home, wait for me. Oh, my sis, my daughter, I've hungered for your touch a long, lonely time. I need your love. I need your love. Please speed your love to me. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, Billy. I love your vulnerability so much. What a beautiful, beautiful thing to have shared with us. Thank you so much.
You're all welcome.
Oh my gosh. Oh. My apologies. As I put in the chat, I was so taken by Phyllis's last poem that I like jumbled up the whole reading list in my head and attributed. And then I came back and I was like, Glenda. Phyllis, thank you. Just want to make sure that you all know I'm paying attention here. I'm trying to pay attention. And when I make a little guffaw, I try to catch up for it. So thank you again. And thank you to one and all so far for the reading. Oh my gosh, it has just been absolutely, absolutely astounding. All the music, all the poetry, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well, I always appreciate when we get to hear the work of Jennifer Elise Wang. I'm so glad you're joining us today. And then we'll be followed by Bauke Kamstra, our final feature for today before we go to the waitlist. Welcome, Jen.
Hey, my cat's here. So he sang his hunger song this morning since it was daylight savings and he had to wait a little bit. But so I'm coming here from Dallas, Texas, which is occupied land of Jumanos, Wichita, Kickapoo, and Tawakoni. I decided to kind of do a very different take on hunger. So I'm going to read one of my poems and another poet's. This is by a BMX rider named Chris Fox, who also does poetry. And I often think about how athletes hunger for like the victory or their trick. And so he wrote a poem called Perfection. Perfection isn't real. It doesn't even almost exist. You might as well believe in a fart. As if one pursues life like it does, they're going to look like a kook because A, they're going to expect it in everyone around them, and B, they're going to expect it in themselves. And at the first inevitable morsel of imperfection, in the form of a meal with too many carbs, or a missing rep in training, or a bronze medal, or a missed month of rent, or yada, 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 they're going to rebel against themselves. And within that type of rebellion, all those substances sound good. And something feeling that good needs to be consumed in large quantities for extended periods of time. And over time, they've been stripped, robbed, and beaten by themselves, by nothing. Nothing. Nothing is notorious for being the mastermind of the most violent and perfect crimes. So keep fighting the good fight. And I'm going to put the link to Chris Fox's work so when I'm finished. And my poem, so because I'm a big fan of vampires, when I think about hunger, I think about vampires a lot. And this poem is inspired by a character who's a vampire, but he also hungers for change and revolution. And that really resonated with me. So this is my poem, The Outlaw. The world is terrible, so let's burn it down and resurrect a new existence. One that doesn't maintain the masquerade of civility and social decorum, but revels in radical honesty and assholishness. Not for the sake of being cruel, but for the truth that sometimes we don't want to give a damn. But when it matters, we will. And that is why we'll break the blood bonds, because to be unbound is to be free, to give, to take, to do, to be anything we desire. There's no ethical consumption under capitalism, so devour everything. Drink the vitality throbbing in our veins before it turns to anhedonia. Embrace the pain piercing your soul as we tear apart tradition and all the safety networks that have kept us in our places, even if it means we hurt each other a bit. And when the blood is dried and the ash is blown away, there will be pleasure and peace.
Thanks for bringing those poems today. Thanks for bringing it. You always do. You always do.
Yeah,
Jennifer
thank you.
Elise Wang, thank you so much. You know, it's again, it's so interesting. I love I always love the prismatic way we look at a word, and I love this looking at the hunger for change and revolution. Thank you for naming it and bringing it and voicing it today here on Cultivating Voices Live Poetry. Well, our final reader in our features before we go to our bonus rounds. Bauke Kamstra, thank you so much for being with us today, and great to have your voice as part of this Poet's Focus on Hunger.
Thank you, Sandy. And thank you to all the wonderful readers who've read so far. There's a lot of work and beauty gone into those poems. I kept things very simple today. I myself, I've been literally around the world. I've visited many countries. There's some things that every place in the world has in common: great beauty, great love of the heart. There are many places that are starving for food that are yet not starving for love, and hunger. And there are not many places, even here in the West, that I've been that I haven't seen hungry children. And they seem to be everywhere. And the numbers are just too vast to imagine. We have Pakistan ravaged by floods now. There are many places in the world where hunger is increasing. And though the calculations are that we have enough food to feed everyone, I'm not even sure that's going to remain true. So my simple poem, wisdom, is it not simple? Could I not become wise? Yet there is a flaw of consciousness where all measurements go wrong. And when the measure isn't true, it comes down to me and you. There is enough food to feed the world. Yet when we leave a child empty, if but one child goes hungry, then we need a new slide rule for the heart. Thank you.
Wow. You know, sometimes the fewer words ring the loudest. And that's how I'm feeling about what you've shared today. Bauke, thank you so much for your poem and for being with us. And I look forward to the next time you come and read with us. Well, folks, gonna get us through our folks who are waiting to read a poem to share with us. And our first poet who'll be reading one poem on the wait list, folks, is Leslie Freed. Great to have you with us today.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Sound wonderful.
And do I get to read 2 poems or 1 poem or?
Just one poem for the wait list, folks.
Okay,
So,
okay.
sorry that, yeah, the features have the 5 minutes. So yeah, sorry for today.
It's okay. I think I might have already read this before, but it made me think, hunger made me think of it again. It's called Existential Texas. It's winter, it rains. I read a book, take a train, go east from Seattle. A year ago today, someone in my house died. 3 weeks from a shipwreck in a bar, 2 weeks past coffee and flowers. 1 week, all night shivering, drunk asked, 2 days after sex. On the train, my shadow is my letter of introduction. A tin medallion, bis, an abyss, the business of being. 'Tis most certain thou shalt be free from trouble and want. The last time he sighed and whispered my name. The train shushes through a flat, cracked game board. A copper-colored caddy slinks along the access road. I close my eyes, I see winter, a proud beast, see limbs disconnected under that sheet. As sooty, careless clouds drift across Texas. Like God's ink blotter, invitation to a farewell dinner. Thank you.
Oh, great reading, great reading. Thank you. Thank you, Leslie. I've had your book by my side of late and really appreciating it and look forward to hearing more from you here on Cultivating Voices. And
thank you.
We'll go next to Sandra Kleven. Hello.
Hello, I happen to be right here.
I know.
Well, I'm going to actually be addressing futile longing, the hunger of futile longing. This is called Incoming. I have some new words that might interest you. These are better than the words I used before. They arrive in my throat like refugees. I choke on some, others I spit out. Words linger beneath my tongue, making a little home there,
starting fires. Some I have eaten accidentally. My arteries run with English words. They are the size of red blood cells, but more linear and filled with letters. They are arranged in phrases and short topic sentences. You could read them with a microscope, but it would be a waste of time. They relate exclusively to NOAA weather patterns and encoded government secrets. You won't like these any better than the others. Newfound words run down my legs like water. These words speak to your monopoly, to your monolith, to your capitalization, your lowercase, to your addiction, your dictum, and your stamina. These words speak to me, excuse me. These words speak to my decline, to my declensions, my conjugations and conjunctions. These words are going fast. They have been discounted. I have some new words that might interest you, words like reticent, revision, and rue, waterfall, winsome, and realm, viscous, vivant, and valve, words like over and done. You're muted, Sandy.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you so much. Sandra Kleven, always a joy to have you with us reading. And you know what I really like about your style is you always have the party in the room with you. You always bring the party. So bravo. Thank you so much. Well, next we have Catherine Ronan, followed by MT Pariti.
What fantastic.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Sandy. Hi, Kim. Hi, everyone. Fantastic poetry tonight. Absolutely fantastic. I was at my husband's birthday today and I was like, will I go over or not? And I just, I was driving, so he fell asleep on the couch. I said, oh, I can go now to Cultivating Voices. Yay! So I'm here. So I picked a poem that I wrote a while ago, and it's about the hunger for somebody that you desire, that you can't have, that kind of hunger. Hungry. I conjure you between fingers, thorns and all. Desire you with a gut never sold at market. Wooden gate love, stubble-eyed fields, hot full moon on the table. Daddy calls me strange. I am just normal, howling at bread at low tide, hungry for you, starving for you, and only you.
Woo! That's Catherine Ronan. Always. Woo! Thank you. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Well, Kate Weggerson isn't, I'm not sure if Kate's in the room with us today, but Kate always loves when we have new folks reading, and so one of our first time readers for today, MT Pariti, welcome, truly welcome, and glad you're here to join us on this reading day.
Hey, Sandy and everyone. Yeah, it's great to be here. I'm MT. And my buddy Vinny Calone told me about this and was sharing about it. And I thank you for that. And hello to a few other faces I recognize. Hi, Judy. Yeah, so I have a piece that when I found out what this was about, I figured I would read here. It's called Uncommon Sense. It's more about the systems that kind of that create hunger in our societies. Uncommon sense. Call it common all you want. Some of us just don't make sense. People paid pennies on the dollar. Things aren't adding up. Multiplying divisions, subtracting safety from sacred society. Questions lead to audits without answers. Wang words lead to heavy hearts. Beaten up by bankrupt balances, debits score, leaving scars and credit cards, gashes too deep for stitches. Bodies become commodities, loose change tossed around, people in palaces placing their bets. Currency climates change, causing the currency climbing crisis. Can't even cash it in for the cost of goods sold. Here, being human is bad for business, so investment is reserved for those doing. With the world so wildly and wickedly warped, wrapped around wilted and wrinkled wills, it's no wonder why they call my sense uncommon. Thank you.
Please do come back and share more work with us, share more poetry. What a great contribution to today's reading. Our poets focus on hunger. We are in the bonus round of poetry. We are fortunate today that one thing we are not having to hunger for is poetry. We have had quite the feast here today. We continue to, I'll be taking you all up to the half hour, as far as we can go. So next we go to Dianne Knox and Mathis.
Hi, I'm Dianne Knox, coming from Sequim, Washington. This is called Hungry Little Girl. A skinny girl afraid to ask for buttery noodles, salt and pepper the only garnish. She heard the arguments about rent, about heat, about school supplies, about clothes, but mostly about food. A skinny girl afraid to step on the scale, all classmates watching. Could she step with all her books, please? Do we have to do this so often? Where is her privacy? A woman of 10 needs privacy. A skinny girl, grown up, eating noodles with Alfredo plus shrimp, lots of pepper, still delicious, thinking back in a fine home, plenty heat in winter, plenty cool in summer, pens, notebooks galore, scale when she wants in her private bath, still that skinny girl mind. A skinny girl missing that mom who realized the girl overheard, so she made her buttery noodles. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dianne. Good to hear your voice today. Our Poets Focus, we're examining the word hunger, and we have heard so many musings today around that word. We'll hear next from Mathis.
Thank you. This is a draft. It's, and I live in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, although I'm from Texas. Go Stros. Oh yeah, they already went. They won, yeah. This one is called Who's Hungry? They're hungry. She's hungry. He's hungry. You may be hungry. I'm not hungry. My mother made a meal from one can of soup, bean and bacon, or even tomato. My mother made all my clothes and those of my sisters and her own, of course. She never really knew the extent of her talent. We ate out only if the church members took us, usually Furr's cafeteria. What a treat, though I later complained. Yes, my mother made a meal from one can of soup, but we were never hungry. Now it's called food insecurity in the US of A. seems a euphemism to me. I mean, if you have food insecurity, either you're hungry today, like really hungry, or you will be tomorrow, meaning no food in the fridge, no crackers in the cabinet, or no food the last few days of the month. Kafka's Hunger Artist leaps to mind. Don't we still gape at the hungry? Aren't they, the truly hungry, the starving, still in a cage? Don't we yet gape? My mother made many a meal from one can of soup, but we were never hungry. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dal. And our final, before we close out on a video that Don Krieger is going to share with us, before that, we'll hear from Isaac Cohen. And I think there's Isaac.
Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you.
Hi. Yes, thank you, Sandy. And thank you, Kim, and thank you, Don, and all my friends in the world. Isaac Cohen, the magic fish, the hot summer. The fish jump from the freeze pool in the bazaar. The salesperson and people started to run after the fish. The fish ran, and after some meters, he flew over the sky and to be all the sea. I waited for him. We spoke something. He told me that yesterday he was got married. In the morning, he fell in the net and the salesman put him in the freeze pool. Suddenly, the salesman wanted to kill him and he ran away. His wife was came and we will be a friend. Today, he invited me to celebrate the newborn fish of the couple. What present will I give him? Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, all our friends in the world.
Thank you so much, Isaac Cohen. And now we'll turn the screen over now to Don Krieger.
Thanks, Sandy. I thought I would just play this song, Narrow Daylight, that was the object of Giulio's lovely ekphrastic poem. One moment, sorry.
Narrow daylight entered my room. Shining hours were brief. When Winter is over, summer is near. Are we stronger than we believe? I walk through halls of reputation, among the infamous few, as the camera clings to the common thread. Beyond all vanity, into a gaze to shoot you through, is the kindness we count upon. Hear it in everyone. I stepped out in a sunlit groove, although deep down I wished it would rain, washing away all the sadness and tears that will never fall so heavily again. Is the kindness we count upon. Hear it in everyone. I stood there in the salt spray air, felt the wind sweeping over my face, ran up through the rocks to the old wooden cross. It's a place where I can find some peace. Narrow daylight entered my room. Shining hours were brief. Winter is over, summer is near. Are we stronger than we believe?
Making me think, John, that maybe we should end every one of our readings with a song,
Oh, that's a good idea.
right, instead of me. And on that, on that note, everybody, I want to thank everyone for joining us today for
Thank you.
our amazing, amazing Poets Focus on hunger. I so have appreciated all the different ways we've examined that word today. And let me remind you of the voices that we heard from today. At the top of the hour, we heard from Vincent Calone, Josephine LoRe, Ken Burch, T.A. Niles, Cathal Mac Threinfhir, Glenda Cimino, Giulio Magrini, Phyllis Klein, Harvey Soss, Billy Brown, Jennifer Elise Wang, Bauke Kamstra, Leslie Freed, Sandra Kleven, Catherine Ronan, M.T. Pariti, Dianne Knox, Mathis, Isaac Cohen, and Don Krieger sharing Narrow Daylight by Diane Kroll. Again, everyone, please do, if you have the resources to make a contribution, to a local food pantry, food bank, food insecurity resource in your communities, please do so, and please help us to continue to speak out against hunger and food insecurity, but to speak up and speak for the hunger for other things that we need in our world, and the things that bring the positivity around the word hunger. Both and everything in between are always true with a word. And that's why I love it when we take a look at the different ways that a word turns on itself. Well, I thought I would close this out with one final poem, not my own, from a poet that we heard, Kelli Russell Agodon, from her book, Dialogues with Rising Tides, a poem titled Hunger. And I want to encourage, there are many anthologies as well on the topic of hunger, and many poems titled Hunger. I encourage you to seek those out. This is but one that I chose. There's Lucy Brock-Broido's collection called Hunger. And I was reminded by Harvey's poem today of a poem by Mary Carr called Diogenes Tries to Forget, which takes place in a diner. So, but this is Kelli Russell Agodon's poem, Hunger, to close us out for today. And thanks for sticking in to the reading a little longer than I'd intended us to go. Hunger. If we never have enough love, we have more than most. We have lost dogs in the neighborhood and wild coyotes, and sometimes we can't tell them apart. Sometimes we don't want to. Once I brought home a coyote and told my lover that we had a new pet, until it ate our chickens, our ducks, and our cat. Sometimes we make mistakes and call them coincidences. We hold open the door, then wonder how the stranger ended up in our home. There is a woman on our block who thinks she is feeding bunnies, but they are large rats without tails. Remember the farmer's wife? Remember the carving knife? We are all trying to change what we fear into something beautiful. But even rats need to eat. Even rats and coyotes, and the bones on the trail could be the bones on our plates. I ordered Cornish hen. I ordered duck. Sometimes love hurts. Sometimes the lost dog doesn't need to be found. That's Kelli Russell Agodon's poem, Hunger, from her collection, Dialogues with Rising Tides. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today for our Poets Focus on Hunger. Please join us next week for our new books showcase. You won't want to miss it. This is Sandy Yannone for Cultivating Voices, live poetry. See you next week. And here in the United States, please do remember to vote.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Good week. Take care.
Bravo.